All right, let's get another writing video in for this week. It is it's like bright and sunny over here, blue skies, and over there it is crazy, crazy dark clouds. And I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I was taking a nap today, and then I was like, "Why does the neighbor keep dragging their garbage can back and forth on their driveway?" I realized no, it's a lot. It's just a lot of thunder. So you might hear it in the background. I don't know. It's unnerving. Before we get to the topic of the video, I want to thank you for hitting the subscribe. That's staying in the subscribe button. I also want to thank you for watching all of my videos. I also want to thank you for watching at least 30 seconds of all of the advertising, because that's how we get paid here. I know that's how I get paid. All right, so how I decide the point of view in a story. Point of view is very important, obviously, in a story. There are stories where you have multiple points of view, obviously, but I like to try to figure that out before I start writing the story. I'm going to tell you why. I've written some stories before. These glasses are filthy. I've written some stories before, and I get into the story. Could be a novel, a novella, short story, flash fiction, whatever. And I realize that is really loud. And I realize I don't want to just be in this character's head. I don't want to be just first person on this, or I don't want to be just third person on this, because I'm really mostly getting into this character. So it's a choice, and I don't always get it correct at the beginning. But I usually, as I'm thinking of characters in my head, as I'm thinking of the plots and whatnot. Okay, again, total pantser. So for instance, I just started a new book, and I knew who the main character was, but I also knew I wanted to get into I knew I wanted to get into other characters' heads as well. It's a crime thriller, and I knew there were other people that I wanted to introduce in this book, and get into their heads and see what they're doing. So I knew, okay, you know what? We're going to start with our main character, and we're going to kind of move chapter to chapter, head to head, kind of thing. Well, that's kind of how the setup was, and I'm fine with that. Now, my Dirty Deeds series, first person, we're in James Gaffney's head the whole time, except for book 5, where we're in Marissa's head, and page 10 when we're in Reggie's head. Okay, but they're still in first person. It's still that point of view. So you're finding out all of the clues. You're finding everything out through their eyes, and their eyes only. And that gets tough if you need them to not see what's happening off stage. You know what I'm saying? If you need a character where they're like, they need to figure out a clue, that means you need somebody to give them the clue. They need to find the clue. There's something. But if you're writing third person, okay, for instance, so if you're writing a story where the person is, say he's a hitman, and we write the whole thing in his point of view, then we're just looking through his eyes at the person he's going after and the people around them, and on and all that. And that's fine. But if we're doing it we're in his head, even for a couple chapters, say, our first couple parts of the story, but then we switch to the person that is about to get killed, You would think. Let's get his point of view. Let's see what's going on in his head. Let's see if he knows why he's about to get assassinated. If he's doing things that are leading up to this point, or if he's just a guy living his life, he's doing his thing, and everything is fine, and this guy's about to get, two in the back of the head, and he doesn't even know it. And that's also exciting as a writer, because it's the what is it, the Hitchcock thing. I think I've mentioned this in another video. I know I've talked about this before. It's something that I heard a long time ago, so might not be 100% word for word correct, but I don't care. This is my opinion. My opinion is, Hitchcock said, you put two people sitting at a table and they're having this boring, mundane conversation, and then suddenly it blows up. Okay. The audience is not expecting that, but it just comes out of nowhere. Whereas if you take the two people, you sit them at the table, and they're having this mundane conversation, and there's a bomb under the table, and you can see the clock on the bomb ticking down. As a viewer, as a reader now, you're wondering, are these people going to get up? Are these people going to be alive at the end once this thing counts down? Okay. And that's the excitement, to get the person, in the reader or the viewer, involved. Okay. It's happening. What's going to happen. I watched me and my wife yesterday watched a Liam Neeson movie. What movie? I don't know. They're all the same, aren't they? This is one in Belfast, 1974. Something about saints and sinners. I don't know. You can look it up. Not a bad movie. At the beginning of the movie, these people put a bomb, okay, in this building. Or in this car in front of this building. Okay, they load up this car with explosives, parking right in front of this building. They're going to blow it up. Okay. They park down the street. You're watching through the side mirror. You're watching, and all of a sudden, a woman comes walking down the street with like several kids. And of course, as it always happens in movies, they stop right in front of the storefront. One of the kids drops his school books or something. And now you're like, this bomb is about this car is going to blow through this building and kill the two people inside that we've seen. But it's also going to kill these kids and the mom. So what's happening? So it's that added stress, okay? So now, if you're writing that scene, you're writing it from the point of view of the person who is watching the side mirror. Okay, you don't have to have all the different things, but you're in that person's head. Okay, but that's not the main character in this. That's the bad guy. So now you have that character in the beginning. If you're writing this as a book, or if it was a book, who knows? It's a Liam Neeson movie. Who can say? Once that scene is over, we switch to Liam Neeson's character. So now we're in Liam Neeson's character's head. But several times in this movie, we're looking in and we're getting the backstories and the other things about all these other characters. So if you're writing this as a book, you're going to write this in third person, and you're going to be, head swapping. I don't suggest you change point of view within a chapter, unless you have a chapter break. And even then, I try not to do that as much as possible. And then there are chapters that I will do that, because I don't want to go, I got to write 3 pages or whatever it is on this chapter. So I got to, beat a dead horse to get the word count in. I don't like doing that. Don Winslow is a master at jumping from head to head in the same chapter, in the same paragraph sometimes, but it works. For whatever reason, gosh golly, that man can do that. And it's amazing to read his stuff, and which character's head you're in. There's no confusion on it at all. Do I suggest you do that? Heck no. Sorry for the strong language. Stick to whatever you got. I've talked to many writers over the years. Almost 40 years of doing this crazy business we call writing, and so many people will say, "Oh yeah, I wrote half of a book, and I realized that I didn't like the point of view, so I scrapped it and I rewrote the whole thing." That's amazing. I would never do that. That seems like a lot of work. I'm too lazy for that. But I try to decide pretty quickly. Okay, this morning I wrote a 300 word story. Okay, flash fiction piece for someone. I hope that they accept it. And I was like, this is for me. I don't know what it's only going to be one point of view because I don't need to 300 words too. I don't need to jump into multiple characters' heads. I need one character to kind of tell us the story. So that's an easy one to do. Flash fiction, especially crime thriller stuff. I as a reader, I love reading crime thrillers that are in first person. I like I don't know, especially detective stuff. It puts you in the detective's head. I like that. I'm reading a book now. I forget the name of it, but it was written 40 years ago, and it's a crime thriller book, and I love it. And it's first person. We're in this character's head. Things are happening to him. Things are happening because of things he's doing, on and on and on. And you don't have to jump into all the other characters. There's another main character in this. You never get in that person's head. And so far, I like that. I like the fact that you don't really know what's going on with him. You just know the private investigator. You know what's going on with that character. So those are the types of stories that I enjoy as a reader, and I like writing those. Again, when I have more of an ensemble cast, like the First Coast Thriller series. I knew I was going to have several characters in this, and I wanted to go character to character. I had 5 or 6 characters in mind, and I wanted to write this where not one character knew everything. All the characters knew something, bits and pieces kind of thing. That way I can get into the bad guys' heads, the good guys' heads, everybody's point of view on it, and I like that. I knew when I was doing the Down and Dirty series, I was going to take Marissa from the Dirty Deeds series, and I was going to take what's his name? I can't believe I can't think of his name now. I've drawn a blank. From the First Coast Thriller series. I really need to. I really need more of this nap. And yeah, I gotta look. Wow, what a dumb thing. I'm recording a video. You know what I'm saying? I'm recording this. Let's move these out of the way. Xavier, why couldn't I? Dummy. I'm leaving all this part in. When you've written 200 plus books and stories, you forget character names sometimes. Especially when you haven't written that in over a year. So I knew it was going to be the 2 characters, so I knew it was going to be multiple points of view. And I also wanted to get into in a couple of the cases in the books, I wanted to get into the head of the bad guy. I wanted you to, as a reader, to see their point of view. Because again, the thing, not every bad person, not every villain thinks he's the villain of the story. He's doing something that he thinks is righteous, is good, is going to help him and other people, does things. So it's not always the the evil guy who's sneaking around in dark shadows and he that kind of thing. I don't even know why I just did that. So yeah, so for me, the point of view, it's extremely important, but it depends on what kind of story you want to tell. Okay. when I read horror books, I prefer third person. I prefer to find out all the characters, what they're thinking, what there's. I'm trying to think if I've even really written much first person horror books, and I don't know if I ever have. Okay, again, a lot of times I tend to have two or three or four characters, more that ensemble cast kind of thing. When it comes to horror books, I've written a bunch of short stories where flash fiction, especially, I might do that first person, get into the one character's heads because that's really all you know in horror you get into the or writing a hitman crime thriller thing. Let me get into the hitmans. Let me get into the uh, the survivor on this who has to fight a monster in a horror thing or whatever. I just find it better for me as a writer, and also it's also fun for me as a reader to read those types of books. You have to really, really hold uh, me as a reader if you're going to write first person through a whole book, and this guy is just reacting uh, in stuff uh, because you don't know the whole story. Okay, this Liam Neeson movie we watched last night, whatever the name of it was, about halfway through the movie, maybe even longer. And if you haven't seen the movie, spoiler alert, he's being tortured, and somebody busts in, starts shooting all the bad guys. And me and my wife at the same time both said, "Who the heck is this?" Because they introduced a character you hadn't heard about, you hadn't seen before. Just crashes through the ceiling and just starts shooting bad guys. And then we realized who this person is, but they had no bearing. Oh, I'm going to tell you what. That was not that movie. I stand corrected. We watched the second movie last night with Aaron Eckhart, whatever his name is. And he plays like a CIA operative. I don't know the name of that either. They're both on Netflix, though. Liam Neeson, I think it came out last year. This Aaron Eckhart, I think, also came out last year. My wife's like, I don't want to watch the same shows. Put on it. Let's just watch some movies. We watched a couple movies. Halfway through that movie, this person just falls through the ceiling and just starts shooting bad people. It was quite odd. So like that, if you're writing that as a thing, like you would probably write that movie in first person with Aaron Eckhart's character because he's got to figure out things and who's on his side and who's trying to double cross the CIA. The typical that kind of stuff. Wasn't a bad movie. Wasn't a great movie either. And then as a writer, I'm like, okay, well, hey, I'm 100 pages into this 200-page book, and now I have to introduce a brand new character that's going to jump in and start kicking butt. And it made no sense. We should have at least had some foreshadowing or something about this character. Maybe they did, and it ended up on the cutting room floor. Who knows? I don't suggest you do that as a writer. If you're going to introduce a character like that, maybe even mention that character briefly in the beginning of the book or something. I don't know. It just didn't work for me. What works for me is figuring out who this story is about. Is it the plot? And we're worried about the plot, and we're not really worried about these individual characters. It's usually not a great story. It's usually got to be about for me. It's got to be about the character. I have to love or hate not only the main character but all of the characters. There are certain books that I love because I'm invested as a reader in those characters. So as a writer, I want to invest you in those characters as well. So, and there are ideas that I just think are too big to be in first person. There's ideas that I think would work better, but you gotta figure that out. Try them all. As a writer, you want to try everything you possibly can. You want to challenge yourself as a writer. Can I write this story in first person and hold the reader's interests through an entire story or an entire book. I think that's what's important. That's what needs to happen. That they don't work all the time. I've written tons of stories that are just garbage, absolute garbage. Um, for someone who's written probably about, I'm not even going to lie, 400, 500 short stories, somewhere in that range. And maybe 100 of them are sellable. You're writing a lot of junk. Now, maybe I'm beating myself up because maybe another 200 I could probably turn around and sell if I can find the right person. You know what I'm saying, though. Not everything you're writing is going to be great, but you're going to try. You got to try to write things. Get out of your comfort zone a little bit. If you've only ever written, I have people who only ever write first person or will never touch first person. Challenge yourself. Write something, even if it's a short story. Write it somewhere that you are not comfortable. I've never written first person. On my next short story I'm going to write would be first person. That's all I ask. And then let me know how you do. All right, every Wednesday, every Sunday, and occasional Friday, where you get some of these writing videos. Again, Armand's opinion. It's my opinion on things. If you have an idea for one of these, please let me know. I have a bunch more that I can do, but I'm going to run out of ideas at some point. And I also want to hear what you, as a fellow writer, or even as a reader, I want to hear from the readers too. What are you looking for? What behind the scenes stuff? I don't want to say what is some of the magic. It's not magic. It's just we're just writing. We're not saving lives here, people. Let's calm that down. That's what I want to know. I want to know what else you want me to talk about in these clips. I also want to thank you for subscribing. I want to thank you for watching 20 or 30 or more seconds of the advertising. I think this storm is going to hit me. Hopefully the TV doesn't go out because I'm trying to watch the baseball game. All right, everybody. Thank you very much, and I appreciate you watching other videos too on my channel. It is very helpful. And hey, buy some of my books. Just buy one of them.